In 1984, Tla-o-qui-aht declared Mears Island as a tribal park. And the reason how we did that was because in other peoples, Europeans had come to this American continent, all across the American continent, do not understand the language of the indigenous peoples. And I'm going to speak about that in relationship to Tla-o-qui-aht. You know, we call it our Hahusi, but because no one understands what that means. And so what we had to choose was the most simple way that people could understand that, and is to call it a park, where they understand that someone is in charge of it. And that's why we use that word as tribal park. And so, you know, these teachings of these tribal parks, it's comes in the way of the constitution of indigenous peoples. And you know, and certainly I like to talk about it in a way that when Europeans came here, certainly we were not able to read things, the letter, the alphabet, and so on. And I say so were they. When they'd seen our totem poles, they had no idea what those things are. Absolutely no idea what those things are. Because in the front of every house in the former days, there used to be up to 4 totem poles in the front of every house. Because we have a grandfather, we have a grandmother, we have our dads, and we have our mom who would come from another tribe. And so our grandfather and our grandfather always had theirs, and our grandmother came with hers. And so when your dad or your mom was born, they would have the combination of those two, your grandfather and grandmother. And then so you'd have your dad or your mom would also come with a totem pole. And all those teachings, all those songs, and all those dances that pertain to all these different things, they were teachings. And they were really incredible way that people did teach. And you know, it's to go on about that, it's like it would take a long time to explain all that to you. And sometimes, you know, people, they have had a huge misunderstanding of what these things are. They're not just simple songs and dances, but they're basically prayers to the Creator and teachings of natural law that we all live under. And you know, many of those different teachings of natural laws is that every one of us is born under natural law. You know, every one of us, and our parents got together. The very first teaching of natural law, we got together, parents got together, you have children, whatever. And then the first thing you had when you were born, breath of air, and then what we needed after that, we need water. And then so on, you know, all these other things that sustain our lives. And then of course, the land that we live on. And you know, the people here have had these teachings for such a long time that, you know, we have in the Nuu-chah-nulth speaking way, it's IISAAK. Everything is one, and then all things are connected. And so, you know, one of the biggest teachings of the houses of the Nuu-chah-nulth speaking peoples is that Mother Nature will provide our needs, but not our greed. So, you know, it's all about how we take care of it. And then the other part of that is that, you know, when we have children, we're responsible to those children, that we leave this garden in a very good way, that they do not have to work so hard. Because, you know, before Europeans arrived here, our people only had to work for 3 or 4 days a week to survive here, because the land was so rich. And, you know, the rest of the time was for arts and culture. You know, all this stuff. It was amazing. There was no diseases to speak of.